everyone, and we're going to do this start down Bob and go down to them. Bob Olson, Eugene Staccato, Louis Oldwing.
Commissioner Bonilla.
Are you going to sit here?
Look out.
Okay. Okay, and then
Gordon Spears.
Okay.
Hi, good afternoon.
Okay, so that's the goal. So we have so our order. I'm going to open up for public comment. Do you have any people that would like to speak?
I do have a question for Emily. Someone was telling me about there's a new water fee or something that all the residents are being charged or something. Somebody was running around one of the government agencies now.
They're increasing the fees for Orange County utilities.
Is that what maybe that's what they're talking about?
Yeah, because we're still the lowest of all the rates, but they need to catch up on some capital improvement projects. I want to say it was the commercial side more. There was some calculations that weren't really working out. So that
And the one on the page is coming up super high. Everything's coming in for the parks is just double on the bids.
Yeah, they were just talking about there was some new fee and that it was going to increase.
it's not a new fee, but they're increasing the rates.
Well, I know
It was for the city of Orlando, I think, sir. They hadn't raised the wastewater, I think, surcharge, and they zonked it at double figures, so
yeah,
that may be what you're thinking of.
that's what I was just about to say.
Metering went up too.
Yeah.
So
Did the meeting go to?
yeah, someone reads my meter down, so I'm jacked up the price.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I'm in the city of Orlando. We just got it. I think it's going to be an extra 20-something a month of change in the new assessment for wastewater and stormwater.
I think they got surprised. They started looking at their sewer system, their stormwater sewer system. And they had leaks all over the place, I think, wasn't there?
Yeah, and I mean, you know, in my neighborhood too, like, you know, we have no stormwater system except out on Anderson. We have streets that all slope towards the lakes, you know. That is our stormwater system.
That's all through this whole area, 1920-ish, all clay.
Yeah.
I've been watching the big mom. It's like, wow, that's really cool.
I still have friends who have the clay ceramic lines, terracotta.
Yeah, they're about 4 feet long.
Yeah.
It's really neat looking. Both of them are really
That's what I
neat.
have in my neighborhood, the street and the pipes beneath it. More 100 years old.
So evidently it's okay to annex now 52,000 acres because they have so much money.
But someone,
Anyway,
I will say someone did bring up the idea of adding a stormwater fee to Orange County, which the city has.
yeah, we pay that.
I'm not.
Yeah, I pay it.
Well, because I have my own stormwater pond on my property, which I maintain and I pay for, so I was just like, why should I pay for everyone else's stormwater?
I said the same thing about the schools. No, I don't have children.
Oh, but that,
Oh, wait.
that one I could argue though, is that you want people to, you know, improve the economy, so in order to have people in the economy running the, you know, making sure it runs, you need people to be educated, so that's why everyone pays for school.
I'm okay with all of it. If it deals with the contamination, then that's good.
I look at my bill and stormwater is such a little thing compared to schools, and like I don't have kids, but if everything's flooded, you know, you can't really have society.
Well, I appreciate if you all pay for my children.
Okay, so no public comments.
Censor.
Considerations, additions to the agenda. Do we have any additional things that looking at the agenda? Do we have?
Yeah. I want to add affordable housing.
All right, so we're gonna put down new business.
We're gonna take out Lake Pivot. They're still half, so I can't really talk much about it. You knew that, didn't you?
choose for.
You want item C, Commissioner, under, new business is new housing,
We'll make that C, yeah,
Okay.
affordable housing.
okay. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda, including the affordable housing and talking about.
So moved.
Favor? Okay, special presentation. Any special presentations?
I don't believe we have it.
Okay. Reports, this is Emily Film Incentive Initiative. That's going to be you.
So we had let me back up. So I brought up the Human Incentive Initiative to the county. Got mayor's support, and we put together a work group, different film industry professionals, schools, unions, and they had their first meeting on August 20th. It's more like an introductory meeting to talk about, sunshine and all that stuff. So they really didn't get too much into the meat of everything. And then, but the next meeting is September 11th. But they're going to be discussing, what the film incentive should look like.
It's going to be a tax.
Well, the state of Florida already has tax exemption for film.
Are we going to take some money in? We take some of it from the Visit Orlando people. Put it in.
I was
Why
very
don't we think about $30 million?
I was extremely surprised that Roseanne Harrington, who was helping run the meeting, came up with the idea that, yes, using CDT would probably be the source of funding for it.
Concerned that the audit came back and wasn't too good.
So that would require the state then to change the CDC procedure then, right? No?
No,
CDT.
so there are 2 counties that have a film incentive in Florida who are already using CDT for it, and they're using because the films promote their county. So in our film incentive, we have to make sure that it has promotion for our county in it. So like maybe the county logo orange, just like the Georgia peach kind of thing. Making sure that they say Orange County at some point in the film, that they do images of Orange County that you can tell it's an Orange County kind of thing. So promote, it has to promote. Huh?
Take a picture of the wall up there.
Yeah, so this will be famous wall. Every film.
Like I know with the Georgia Georgia films they do that little this was filmed in the state of Georgia message.
It was going really well in the late 80s, early 90s here. It was actually doing really, really well. But then
Yeah, we had Nickelodeon and all of Disney stuff.
my brother was active at the time. Doing good.
I was telling the commissioner, I remember Nickelodeon Studios, and Clarissa explains it all for young me. That was a very important show during that era. We're coming up to Orlando to
Sounds
visit.
like Visit Orlando money should be utilized since you would be promoting the visitation.
There is a representative from Visit Orlando on the work group too.
Okay, good.
So it's almost like a paid advertisement. Somebody drink a Pepsi and
Yeah,
Oh,
so that's called product placement.
product placement.
So yeah, it's like product placement.
So we pay like the movie to
So one
like
of us,
mention
one of us can
Brad
write.
Pitt. I just can't wait to go to Orange County or
Yeah.
wasn't there an Orange County movie in
You
California?
could have an extra run across with it, orange TV shirt or something.
Well,
Yeah.
Florida had pretty good incentives in the 90s, right? And those went away. When the film industry died out, and they went to Atlanta. You're exactly
Or
right,
Calgary.
because I've got friends that are up there working.
That's
The
what-
film
that's
industry
what
was
Canada
very
is.
strong,
Or Canada.
or Canada, Canada.
I mean, we have a ton of audio-visual stuff here. We have some of the most warehouses.
Well, you
In the
got
United
full
States.
sail.
Yeah,
there.
Well,
So
we have
we
full
have
set, but we
UCF,
have
we
all
have-
the audio-visual stuff.
So we do have a lot of schools, film schools here.
Yeah.
And but they all leave. So they did talk about for the next meeting that they have bringing back some data and research that you know, they requested, one of them was how many students graduate each year from the area in film, and how many of those stay and how many of them leave. Which is, you know, might be hard to find out because a lot of schools don't track that, but Full Sail does track it.
Yeah,
They use it as part of their,
Yeah, they know how many have worked on Academy Awards.
Yeah,
you gotta justify that $60,000 a year. 80 now?
Yeah.
80 grand is
Cheaper to become a doctor.
just tuition? Or is it from the board too?
If you hit it big, it's worth it.
just
If
to
you
it.
don't,
Yeah. I was
then
gonna
you're
say.
in trouble.
That's a lot of loans.
It's a glamour profession.
No, I got two more.
The loans.
So, so, are we done with that?
Yeah.
Okay, Vision 2050, orange codes. That's you.
So we're doing really good. So the subcommittee has done a great job, on the research. We had the work group sunshine meeting. They did a great job in presenting that to the other commissioners as well. Staff was there. What's your interpretation of staff's responses?
Staff was
It's pretty
Staff
awkward.
was more responsive at our meetings than they were, for instance, they didn't even speak at the school board meeting than the school board work session. But
I didn't get to the school thing yet.
yes, they were more responsive at our meeting, but very combative, I would say. Guarded maybe might be the right word.
And now, were these the recommendations of that committee that were
Yeah,
presented to
And the
staff?
commissioners.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were all like, here's all this stuff, you know, but they weren't open to really hearing it. And so staff wasn't, and then we had a second work group meeting with the commissioners, you know, same sunshine meeting. And it was, you know, same people there. And we asked staff, so since our last meeting, what have we implemented? Nothing. So and then we did see staff gave us a document with all their, the comments they were giving to the consultant to work on. None of it was comments from our work group meeting or from the commissioners. It was just comments from staff themselves. I'll say that it was Lori from sustainability. The sustainability officer had great comments, by the way, on it, which was very similar to what Dave Sale was saying. Like, you know, this is, you know, a roundabout kind of logic. What does this actually mean? This is here, but it's nowhere in the code. So she had a lot of similar stuff to that we were saying, which was, you know, good to see.
Orange threatened that this won't vote for it.
Well, and then Orange County Public Schools discussion was coming in too, because then they were hearing the concerns. They were now concerned because the school concurrency wasn't anywhere in the plan. So let's say they were deciding to, this section, like increase the density of units by like 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, whatever. They didn't have any schools planned for that area to handle the new students. And then there wasn't any plan in there for being able to do that. So the whole plan is gonna make the land more expensive for the school board to buy land in order to build a school. So then that was a problem too, when they already have that problem, you know, with finding land. So there was nothing, so they were very concerned about that.
I thought that when it was Scott, governor at the time, changed chapter 163. I thought he knew that the requirement of roads and schools for development. Is there an exception for counties that still implement it?
Yeah, the Martinez, they call the Martinez doctrine.
Yeah.
I'll have to look.
I thought it was codified in the state, I thought.
But she talked,
I'm
she
more
talked about
familiar
it,
with
but I don't.
I'm more familiar with transportation concurrency than I am with school concurrency.
So as far as I understand it, there's still a school concurrency. The big issue is when you give these developments, like, okay, so this is gonna be mixed use. And because it fits into Vision 2050 and Orange Code, then it doesn't have to go in front of the board to get approved. It just gets approved via staff, via pre-approval essentially. And then, so they never have to go then to the school board and say, this is how many people are coming in, because it's mixed use.
Or like it's mixed use, so they could build either more commercial, less residential,
Right.
or more residential, less commercial. So on this one property, you don't know what it's going to be.
So much flexibility do they have? Because we've all seen cases where they go get a certain rate, and then a couple years later, the market has changed, and they come back and change from commercial to residential. And all of a sudden, sitting there, do we have a chance at that point to say no?
Well, from what we learned, because there was a land use case, typical land use case that came up, and it was at the plating or the subdivision. I can't remember subdivision plan level of it. So we already had approved the flu. We already had approved the zoning. Now it was at the subdivision plan, right? It was a District 1, and she was like, this is not consistent, I am not, well, she know, and I kept asking her, well, why? And she was like, well, because we don't have school concurrency, we don't have enough schools, and so I was like, start asking staff, I was like, when does that come in? And they're like, well, that comes in when they apply for their, certificate of occupancy. Yeah, it's like really late in the process, when
That's
they
like
start
moving
actually
in.
looking at, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So before they can get the certificate of occupancy, they have to mitigate or meet concurrency for the school. So I asked them, what does mitigate mean? So it's like either they build the school or they pay money.
Maybe it takes a couple of years to go to school.
Yeah. So it was just a really bad. So I was like, why are we doing this at the end? It should be in the beginning. We were actually.
It should be at the same time. I mean,
Yeah.
they should know, right? If you're going to approve a development of 10,000 units, they should know, okay, these units going in over this period of time, so they have time to do budgeting,
Exactly.
and acquisition, engineering, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's gonna show increase in population, so therefore you need a school here, increase
this
here,
point
you
in
need a school
time,
here, and you need a school
It
here.
shows the schedule.
Comprehensive.
Yeah.
Because these guys internally have their schedules. They know what they're going to build out. The bankers certainly know because they're making the loans.
So I think one of the more salient points that was made, and I forget which school board member brought this up, but she basically said, like, look, my district has schools with room that aren't full yet. And she goes, the district next door has overcrowding issues. So this is something to, I hope that the school board is going to work with staff when it comes to this. Is I think that there's an actual way to work with the school board if you want to target growth to certain areas. Make sure that there's existing capacity, instead of just saying that these are your targeted areas and not worrying about the schools at all, because I think there's a way to do
But the
this.
problem is now, let's say you do have a district over here that has space, they don't have bus drivers.
Right. Well, that's another problem.
Right now, bus drivers, they don't have enough bus drivers.
But the point is if the county wants to plan for growth and target certain areas, they need to target areas that are smart, that have capacity to grow an increasing population, and not just, to put it frankly, not just look at a map and say that this is the targeted area, this is the targeted area because it fits zoning, pre-existing zoning.
We need more density where we live, because they closed Fern Creek Elementary and turned it into a charter school.
Fern Creek, that's where my kid goes. It's not a charter school, it's a magnet. Orlando Gifted Academy is OCPS.
Actually, it's run by the county.
It's run by the county. It's a magnet school that requires every student has to have a
Teachers
IEP.
have to be certified.
Teachers have to be certified gifted teaching, and every student has to
I'm
have
glad
an
they
IEP.
didn't, and I'm glad they kept it then.
My oldest goes there, and my youngest is on his way there.
Yeah.
And they just got approved for a brand new school on that property.
Oh,
Magnet and charters are both still approved by the board, the
Yeah.
school board, right?
and they're owned by the school.
Yeah, and well, no, they're
Magnets are.
Yeah, the magnets
the
are.
magnets are, yeah.
Yeah, this is a magnet school like Howard Middle is a magnet for performing arts, and the one on Mills, that's the language school, the elementary
Hillcrest.
school. Hillcrest is the language. This is a magnet school for gifted kids, for kids who score over a certain score on IQ test.
So it sounds like the school board needs to create an overlay of available space or seats in the schools. Have that overlay, and that needs to be part of the.
I mean, it'd be kind of neat if they actually got veto power on some of this development, because I've seen stuff come through and
Yeah, they don't have any power.
they have no power. I mean, they should have some, and I've seen this board approve things, and they're like, we don't have any capacity. And it's like, it was like, the day I was there was the high-tech corridor talk. And right afterwards, they okayed a couple thousand new units for that they were out by International, where the school was so far behind that they were over capacity. Well, so much of that high-tech BS, because they don't care about educating the kids.
So due to all of the school board, it seems like the school board was the one that really pushed staff that were like, okay, we can't get this done right now. So they're pushing it off. We don't know what the date's gonna be yet. So right now, it buys us time. Vision 2050. So it buys us time to work on it some more, and I did send an email to staff too, like, saying, hey, we need to work together, we need to listen to us, and we're just trying to do what's best for everyone.
Is there any example in the state that a school board and a commission work together on okaying a development with either one gets
Well, we have to follow state laws of the school currency. They have specific statutes on it. I've read it, but I just haven't read it enough to be as familiar as I am with the transportation currency.
I mean, even if they had some power, at least we would not approve of this, but
Well, she seemed to feel at the meeting, I got the impression that since they're now being pushed to the wall by the equalization factor, which is taking away the real estate growth, the dramatic real estate growth and the increase in revenue she would have, it's not there anymore. So they're actually building new schools with the sales tax, which is not what the original sales tax was. It was to fix the old schools and to bring them up to code, not to build new schools. And the concern is that she's got to go back to mobile classrooms, and that's obviously a big political thing. That's why I was wondering about it. And they're sitting there then being.
have they been building new schools?
Yeah, they're doing it, but they're doing it through.
Park is on it.
Yeah, they're doing it through the sales tax, though. They're not doing it through. A lot of times, the developers are not paying their fair share, and the state. More importantly, the state equalization thing takes away the revenue source from the growth of the real estate tax base. You have a tremendous growth in Orange County's real estate base, which should increase the tax available to them, but it's not, because the state, by that equalization factor, takes the money back away from them. It's the thing of the state. Well, yeah,
By the equalization factor, what is that?
It's sort of an accounting black box. I've sat through 2 budget things now for the school district, and I've looked it up myself, and it looks like what the state does when a county gets rich, which obviously Orange County is relative to some of the counties up in the northern part of the state. The state wants to take some of the school board money, some of the money, and transfer it back to the state, so the state can allocate it to these other counties. Obviously, it's a political situation because those are the red counties, we're the blue county. So, but it's codified as such. It's in the state laws as such. But how it's being applied, it sounds like it's being utilized. Most school districts in the country have ad valorem taxes for their local entities as such. The state's not involved in it at all. And in Florida, the state's involved in it through this equalization factor. So they kind of preempted this. Yeah, it's sort of like I said, it's an accounting black box, but it's sort of like you scratch the left ear with the right hand.
State control of Monticello, the county. School district, couple of years ago, because they went bankrupt. But,
Yeah.
but they only have like 2,000 students.
Well, they seem to say in their budgetary things that they wouldn't have any problems at all if they could get to the revenue of the growth and the value of the properties and tax it, even keep the millage rates the same, the rate the same, because the value had increased so much. That would give them a huge flow of revenue, but this equalization factor stops it and takes it back.
That's not really fair to us, because I mean, along with the increased value of real estate, is an increased cost of living. So
Right.
Dixie County does not have the same living cost as Orange County. Lafayette definitely doesn't have the same.
Exactly.
So
They don't have the same growth.
no,
No, they don't.
it's the same 20 people.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, what do they need money for?
mean,
You know,
there's 6 counties in this state have lost population.
Yeah.
you know,
I'm here.
I don't know where to go.
along the lines when you're talking about too, there's another county up in the north just saw they had to close all of their schools except for one elementary school, one middle school, one high school. Used to have 3 of each, but they had to close their schools because of the vouchers. Because so many people sent their kids to private school on the vouchers,
Yeah.
that they couldn't have those
That's
schools
probably
running.
affecting us too. I mean, they lose $8,000 to $10,000 every time a kid goes away.
Yep.
Unfortunately, the cost per unit doesn't go down when you have to run a complete school. That's going to break the school system. Well, it's designed to do that. Yeah, it is the design. No, it's
A lot of people like it because they feel there's a lot of disconnect between the school systems and the people in the county. So you got what you deserve. I've seen legislation come through, there's some ombudsman amendments put on the ballot that had, 15 different subjects. We can't ever do that, right, for a single subject. But it was one of these that stuck in there and finally take the school systems, the way it's phrased, is the elected school board and the superintendent, if they're elected, can organize, manage, run, blah, 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 blah. And they kind of went wild with it, and then they forgot about the one part of the Constitution that says the school system in any part of the state is completely answerable to the Department of Education. And it gives them complete power to come in and take over for any reason. So, we thought I worked for Orange County Public Schools, and it reminded me of the Star Wars movie. You'll never find a more wretched time than Scotland. I like the people, some of the board members, but you want to talk about nepotism and, bad stuff. So all that stuff filters back down, and it's a relationship thing. I think the school system is going to never fix it with the Tallahassee because we had COVID. I convinced them, you know what? These schools can be done interactively and done over Zoom. That's it. Well, I will tell you, there are people in the work. They got really cool mayor. This is a long story in Jacksonville. And he used to deal with these things pushed in the corner and the school system came in and said, it's 85 million or something for transportation budget, and the buses aren't up to code and this and that. I learned about years ago that it took like $3,000 to change oil in the bus. But anyway, the point is they tried to corner the guy. They outsmarted him. They said, we're going to need 115 million. He came back and said, well, what have you done? He said, I'll take this. And he actually outsourced the transportation because we've got all the buses. They keep them up to standard, and we're able to reduce this budget to 65 million. So the point is, this pulling and tugging, everybody has their own, point of view, and I don't understand this 2015 vision thing, because all I keep hearing is that your zoning department has got all this power now, and yet I keep hearing this. They're not addressing what you want. They pulled all kinds of stuff in these other zoning things on it that rural boundary. I don't know. Guys are crazy enough to pass the Vanderlip bylaw. I got a good one. Just pass a bylaw that says if the school board doesn't approve of something, we automatically won't. You gave away your power before, give it away again. And quite honestly, I'd be putting the zoning office in their place. I wouldn't care if the mayor said, we want you to do this. If you don't like what's going on, and they're not addressing any of your problems, and you say, off.
So we have a concurrency, right? Schools by state, but there's a, the county saying, hey, let's do it more new with the county schools that if they see this to be a GameStop, they have a veto. And can we locally say, cut a deal with the home school system and still be within the law? I mean, I don't know what the law says, so.
That's kind of like skirting around the preemption.
Well, that's
I
well,
don't
it
know
is,
if
well,
we
but
be
it
able
is.
to do that.
well, that's a question legally. Some might want to research and say, what does the state law say about this concurrency issue? And we have this dictatorial power from the state, but does it say that you can't sign an MOU with the other governments, be it Orange County Schools, and say, and give them certain joint rights of moving forward on big developments or even changes? I mean, because that's happened all the time. These guys come through and say one thing, and 2 years later they come back with the changes.
Well, that's definitely something we could bring up at the next, September 10th with the board meeting. We can bring up the,
Yeah, just tell the mayor you want to implement vision 2050 minus one.
Well, it sounds like, Emily, the Commissioner, that what she was complaining about was that the Martinez doctrine was an agreement, a verbal agreement as such. It's never been codified. And if the Martinez, from what she delineated at the meeting, if the Martinez agreement was
I thought it was. I thought-
agreed, was law, then this couldn't happen as such, because you would be, somebody would go in and sue under that violation of that. But it sounded like what she was concerned about, since it's a gentleman's agreement between the school board and the county commission as such, that the 2050 is gonna take away that gentleman's agreement and allow for what you're discussing.
it's gonna take away the power of the board too.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
they just switching to the power from the board to
You
stop.
could
Exactly, yeah, the Trojan horse that it is, to me, as I was sitting in that meeting, it sort of fights both commissions.
Too late for the cycle, but you could, as a board, sit down and look at it. As general to a charter, and then put it with waters in one cycle. You got, is it legal? And if so, how? Charter, so you can't, it becomes doctrine of this county. Unless the state
Or
wants.
do it like a Vanderlip bylaw. Gave up a lot of power with that one. And while
Yeah,
everybody else told us.
Barrett's wondering what that is. It's, Vanderlei brought up an amendment to our bylaws that if the board changes over or
Oh.
something like that, then that no longer rescind something.
Oh, that was the,
Or
oh,
there
that
was,
was the Robert
It
rule
was
that
not to
says if
protect
that,
itself.
was that the,
Yeah.
where if you had a positive, let's, District One says yes, but then a new person's voted in, that person doesn't have the same right to say, and bring back the question.
Right.
Which is against the Robert rules, but you could make them, you guys can change Robert rules, it's your
I need
stuff.
to make sure I have enough support on the board to do that.
I mean, that's, you go back to the original Robert rule, which says, whoever, it doesn't matter about this, who's sitting in us, if that's.
Well, the county's attorney said prior to it. So, they said the new board is a reflection of the voter wishes. They said new board can undo anything.
Well,
That she wrote this little thing, and I can't imagine anyone would listen to her. But
well, you'd have to make them up, you have to change the parliamentary rules, so unless the rule, because I asked this question, and I was told about, I didn't know, District Two, what's his name, guy that just died, former commissioner, so it could be. He came in office, and he didn't like the idea of the bike path going behind his house in the Tiger. So he brought back the motion, because it was a positive in his seat, before, because they put the bike trail, extension through that section of the Ricardo. And he brought it back, successfully moving outside his backyard. But then Vandalay in the same district too came back and,
Yeah,
passes
the
the
original,
rule.
the original thing that, it's the one from Apopka, right?
Yeah, that's,
Okay, the older gentleman.
yeah.
Yes, they
Yeah,
basically,
it's a motion to
so
reconsider in
they
general.
basically didn't want new boards to change anything that the old board had.
But then, unless it's in your, if you have a parliamentary rule based on modern rules, so unless they extend it, which you're right, as a
Well,
commission to do that.
But then he tried to use that new bylaw to prevent the change on the split oak
Who's
decision that's county.
he doesn't have the power, you guys have the
Well,
power.
he tried to interpret it that way. I was like, look, that is a policy decision. That is legislative. And people create new legislation and update it all the time.
Alright,
So perhaps like that could apply to like a land use case like the grow, where, they already invested money and all this, so like to try to get them to change, it's not really legislative. Well, it is if it's a, but, if we can get the semantics there, but, legislative decisions, so let's say we do a noise ordinance, right, that says the previous board did, does that mean we can't change it?
No, they're not.
Like, according to his interpretation, so that's all, like, it just, so,
well, I
the
got a good
trap.
bylaw for you, we'll talk later.
But then,
No, but seriously, the bylaw was simply put in to tie the board's hands.
yeah,
It didn't, well, it
Did they get-
effectively forced stopping.
did you get a majority vote on that?
yes,
motion?
it got the majority
Yeah,
vote.
right, yeah, I think got all the Democrats too, didn't it?
Well, they didn't,
Simply, yeah.
Except for you.
well,
Well,
okay, well,
at
that's-
that time, it was
So
just,
I thought,
at that time, it was me in, Simply, right? No,
you should bring it back.
I
she
can't.
was left over for when the whole group went out, the Jacobs and the girl from Avalon.
Yeah, so was this
That
under
was
Mayor
why.
Jennings? Was it under Mayor Jennings or Jacobs?
Jacob?
I don't believe it was, Jacobs was gone first. She went again with, whatever, was it Karen or somebody from, those,
No, it
you
was-
went, and you were still there,
In
and
Germany.
Ruby came in on Clark's half seat. And, well, the only one that was left was Vanderlei, and I was like, well, thank God. The change in the commission certainly would never fall for that. Yeah, and he's right. You can reverse out the bylaw the way it reads now, I believe it's.
Are the same people are there that voted for it?
Well,
Give it 2 more months.
now the thing is, well, maybe it is one of those things to talk to people about.
I mean, there's a lot of heat because it's split oak should be rescinded. And,
Well, the point is, the board never should lose its power in any way, period.
Yeah.
What it had yesterday and last year and 3 years ago, it should still have. And I am a conservative Republican person, and I am shocked at laws that have been passed in Tallahassee, saying that one county can do something and another can't, means unequal treatment before the law. And I'm surprised no one said, hey, let's go take this to a court. Not everything can be overturned by the governor's court.
That's true. There should be so many more lawsuits against what
Well,
the
your
state
mayor,
does.
your mayor
I
was
know
not
my
afraid to
problem.
fight the constitutional officers thing, when the county people were trying to turn them into workers. So the sheriff and tax assessor and the supervisor of elections and all those were gonna be just hired. And he's the one that took it. Not afraid to challenge that, was he? He's a man of the times, supposedly, so why not? I mean, some of these I think would be very heroic fights.
Thing is, as a county, though, we have the Florida Association of Counties. So just like they made their association of constitutional officers, the Florida Association of Counties, like, we need their support for those type of lawsuits, but if the majority of the counties are benefiting from it or not being harmed from it, and only one county is being harmed, It's like really hard to get support from the other 65
but-
counties.
The evil people are not stupid.
Well, but if there is.
Exactly, like it's power in numbers, and they divide and
You're right.
conquer
But
so
you
that
are-
you don't get
The
the numbers.
CRC was attacking Orange
You have
County.
to still this down saying that it is merely a political matter. If that was the case, then you're right. But, and it was an exception the way it was handled, but Lake Bigot South failed the test in court. And yes, there's a written around statute that says the governor's cabinet can do whatever. I'm not aware that there's anything that preempts or softens or does a minor workaround for CRC changes. That's kind of clear. And I would say that any constitutional attorney would look at that thing that says, well, it had to be done by January of 2024. The first thing the judge is going to ask the people that did it, what's the difference between January 2024 and January 2023? What is the intrinsic need for that difference? If it was something it should be done by today, then it should have been the date of when the bill passed. Why are you going with
Well, we all know we're being targeted.
I mean, they wrote really a
We need
weasel.
to move on to the next
All
item.
right, I do, I
Right.
apologize. to
Lake,
people.
Sorry,
Lake Pickett. We
we're
mentioned.
not discussing that.
Okay. Rural boundary annexation.
So
You guys did.
the rural boundary annexation is coming under a lawsuit by Lake Pickett North.
That's
I
good.
really couldn't tell you why or whatever.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then,
Pretty well.
so we passed at the last board meeting. So you know how we put the charter amendments on the ballot, right, through an ordinance?
Yes.
So we did a resolution on this past PCC to do the same thing.
Yeah, so it's been,
It makes it say, it does the same thing.
it's been already on Friday last week, it was motion moved to the SOE, so the language I have for me is there now. The thing I was confused about is in the annexation, I thought you guys, Jeff said, hey, let's talk about applicability. Is it rural boundary or all annexations? I thought you guys said all.
So
Okay. I don't understand the language.
it's all.
Okay, so
Yeah. So I don't know
somewhere
which version you're looking at.
Great
But-
question. This one was sent from the attorney's office, so I assume this,
That looks like the latest one.
yeah. You have one that's signed by
But it's all. It's all on it.
the annexation. I'll let you go through that and tell me where all is.
Well, it doesn't say all. Like you have to read it.
Okay.
It doesn't specifically say all.
It's a very convoluted all that,
So this is Lake.
I'm pretty good at legal stuff.
North.
Yeah, and I'll just
Okay.
say, I don't know why they're filing a lawsuit against the rural boundary annexation, because it doesn't,
Doesn't make
it
sense.
doesn't,
Emily,
They sued over
it
it.
doesn't,
another
it doesn't
bylaw
affect
for you.
them anyway, so like, I don't know
That's
what
okay.
the point is.
Emily, do the frivolous lawsuit bylaw. And $100 million is the
Wait.
fine that you have. no-
You guys copied our stuff.
It is a
And
frivolous
and
lawsuit.
Wade wrote
I
that.
wish we could file a lawsuit against them for their frivolous.
Yeah, I wish we had good anti-stop laws here.
Fancy stuff.
And you have no sovereign immunity anymore.
Okay, but
Okay.
before I say anything more that will get me in trouble,
Okay,
let's move on.
okay, so we're moving on to new business. You said affordable housing, do you want to do it now or?
Yeah, I'll do it now.
Okay.
So affordable housing, so we've been working for the past 2 months on an affordable housing plan, getting data and all that. Nick and Eugene, just so we can move along, I will not have you speak on this.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go high level.
Yep.
So, we had a good conversation with several people who were here before, so I do wanna have a subcommittee or another meeting that once we get this done, this plan, for you all to review it, provide feedback, and, see how we can make it even better. So that's just a quick, because we could talk about affordable housing forever.
Any new business announcements?
Our next D5 meeting will be September 25th. Please add it to your calendars so that I don't have to call you all and ask if you're coming.
And I'm taking over. You got emails from me. As you all may have known, Justin, our colleague, has left to go to the supervisor of elections. So this is now my bag that I'll be running. So I'll be sending out the minutes and the next agenda. If there's anything that you need, please, or you want to add to the agenda, please contact me. I can get that put down on paper for you. Or if you need anything in general, contact me. You all have my email
That's
address
the
now?
point of contact in her office. Then?
I am.
Okay.
So you can bother me and then I'll pretend I didn't get the emails.
And then
I didn't hear that.
It's a joke. It's a joke recording.
so
Oh, before we move on, Raquel, do you have anything to say? Sorry, it's like they ignored you. I'm so sorry.
hello.
No, no worries. I'm just listening in.
Okay, cool. All right.
All right, you. And then your candy batch.
Tackler Candy Bash, second annual. Last year was such a success. We're looking forward to the next one. It was gonna be bigger, better. We had 500 people last year. I'm hoping to get almost 1,000 this year. But we need volunteers. We need about 50 volunteers. So I need you guys.
So you dress up the plates or just?
So the way it looks, we decorate it a little bit. Walk in, we decorate the registration table. We have a room with selfie stations.
Oh, okay.
Each station is decorated so people can take pictures with the iPads, in front of it, and they get the photos emailed to them or texted to them through the app. And then this year we're adding on a haunted house. Hopefully it works out. Because we've never done one before. So we hope. I'll just say that. I hope it works out. It will definitely need help. So with that, I'll get to that in a second. So the haunted house, we'll have some volunteers there too, like throughout the maze, dressed up, not too scary, but like a little bit like spooky, and give out candy to kids who got lost. and then they exit the maze of the haunted house and then go to the big gym. And the big gym will have, we call it booths, where it's nonprofits or for-profit businesses just lining the gym, and then also in the middle. And each booth will be decorated to Halloween. And then they're giving out candy. They'll have an activity as well for the kids. So, and then we do a contest for the best decorated booth. So the people who attend get to vote on their favorite booth. And it's for nonprofits only, because at the end, the top 3 nonprofits that win will get $2,000 worth of magic tickets for their organization. So they can either sell the tickets to make money for the organization, or give the tickets to volunteers, or do like a team building kind of, everyone goes to magic game kind of thing. And then we do have food boxes for Second Harvest that we'll be giving out. We'll have DJ playing music. What else? Oh, we'll have a passport, which we call it passport. It's like, so they'll have different stations that they can go to and get a stamp, and then pass that in. And, so in order to make them go through everything, that's why we have the stamp. So, the first one is at the registration table for them to like our Facebook page and our social media and stuff. The second one's a selfie station, and then the other one will be coming to my booth, and then the other one's for them voting. So when they vote, is where they also pass in the passport. That way we get people to vote. Otherwise, people might not vote, and then you don't know who the winner is. Yeah, I think that's about it. And so to get everything done the day before the event, we're going to go in, we need as many volunteers as possible to decorate. All the booth people, we call them vendors too. So the vendors, right, will have the opportunity to come in that day before and decorate as well, because it can take time, and we don't really have too much time the next morning to do it. So we ask everyone to come in the night before to set up your booths, and then the next day we have the event. We're gonna try to have food trucks there too, you know,
The
for,
volunteers you need to get sustenance.
well, we'll have food for the volunteers, they don't have to buy anything from the food truck. I was actually thinking maybe we should buy like vouchers or buy like gift cards for the food trucks so we can give them, they can make some money.
You know, it's called, you pretend like it's one of those carnivals and they have it stripped down in the churches and stuff, and then you have foods that are, that's a bad deal.
But it's indoors, so everyone loved that it was indoors. They didn't have to trick or treat out in the heat, so that was the most popular part
Beautiful.
of it. But October I know it's been hot.
I'll be camping that weekend.
He just preempted you, he's ready for the
It's trail,
He just preempted me.
Actually, that's my excuse coming to be camping in South Carolina, so.
oh, you hiking? Yeah. We can go.
I got a great idea.
But why not invite the two boys if they're not gonna like participate?
We can
I
make
really
it,
need them.
we can make an adult
I'm looking at it
podcast
right
too
now.
with all of the legislation that's impacting our county.
Gold Creek, it says Gold
That would
Creek.
be so scary.
I had to hang out with
Oh, Raquel, go ahead.
Oh,
Are you
yeah.
camping too?
I have a question because I definitely want to be promoting this event within my industry. Just for clarification, because you mentioned that the vendors are only for nonprofit, or would for-profit be able, like small businesses, be able to secure a booth?
Yeah, so it's both nonprofit and for profit. So it's both, but for the award of the best decorated, that award is only for nonprofits.
Understood.
But you can bring all the candy you want.
And Raquel, you can reach out to me and I can put you in touch with Ari to for information about getting booths and all of that.
It starts.
Perfect.
Right. Any other questions on spectacular? All right. So if you have a business or a nonprofit or know of any who can participate as a vendor, please send them our way.
Could we bring this to Bithlow?
Huh?
Bring the people up.
Could we bring this to Bithlow?
I could only afford to do one, which is why I'm doing it at the Goldenrod because it's more centralized to my district. I know in the past they did a trunk or treat, and I think they did it once though. I don't know, but
That's the magic center.
yeah.
It's on the golden run the wall.
Yeah. That part was central.
It's just a really expensive event, and you know, I just can't afford to do multiple of them.
Plus it's indoors.
That's, I'm hoping.
Because you can't, you
I
never,
really,
that's out, but it's
gonna be visible.
Any other questions?
I'm going this week.
So you'll be available then to come here.
I like it.
I was just down there doing a trail.
Yeah, RV.
Oh, do
Oh,
we get
okay.
the sign in sheet for this?
It's really damn. It's damp stuff.
Is this damn?
No, there's more
Yeah,
back
but
there.
the area that you guys
I'll pass it around.
can't. It's so big, yeah.
Is it?
But it could be dry. Okay.
Alright, so they're gonna sign up, we forgot to pass around the.
So, with nothing new, we can join.
After you sign.
Oh, okay.
And no one gets to leave until you sign out and eat all the food, right?
Yes, that's right, we still have
Alright, so-
sandwiches.
I can take some of those home if you need me to.
Seems everybody enjoyed the
Go
cake.
for it.
Yeah.
And watch it.
Thank you for having the birthdays, so
Yes.
it's great.
Yay, he's going out partying now, sideboard.
No, also Jordan, big fan of your phone case.
Yeah, I know, I saw it.
Wow. Very bright. What's up, make the whole case that way? You drop this in the field, and it's pain to find sometimes. I looked out, someone saw me drop down my front.
You might as well have something to get checked out.
I would have never found it. Catherine and I saw it. We had a really nice, we had an LNA GPS dropped somewhere out of St. John's. We never found it. Well, thank you very much for coming.
David, you want to hold that sign in, Chief?